lovely people, welcome back to our channel. As you can see in the title of this video, today I'm going to be chatting a little bit about how SMF has impacted me directly, how it's impacted my relationships with people, and just generally how I feel about SMF and what has taught me about being a good human being. So I'm going to split the video up into chatting a little bit about how SMF has influenced my personal relationship with my partner, how SMF has impacted my relationships with my friends and my family, and finally a little bit about what it's taught me just about myself and what I hope to take from it moving forward. Before I get too far into the video, I do want to name and acknowledge the way that parts of my identity and my social location shape the way that I interact with this program and interact just with people in general in my life. So I am a white, cisgender, heterosexual, able-bodied female. I am educated and I come from a middle-class family. So these parts of my identity entirely shape the way that I interact with this program. These are some privileges that I have that shape the way I interact with SMF and with people in general. So as we move through this video, I really want to keep these pieces in mind, and I hope that you can recall these parts of my identity that help to shape this video and the way that I feel about SMF as well. So it's hard to know exactly how SMF has impacted my personal relationship with my partner, because for 4 of the 5 years we've been together, I have been an SMF student. So this is really just all I know, which is kind of fascinating the way that the timing worked out. This is just who I am now and my experiences and what I bring to this relationship. So with all that said, I personally feel like there's no better feeling than sitting in a classroom and hearing your professor say something that applies directly to your situation or just relates to you so fully where you can sit there and say, yes, I understand that. That's happened to me. I've seen that happen. So particularly in my romantic relationship with my partner, I have had those experiences where I've just felt so validated in hearing things from my professors about experiences that I've gone through, whether it be about conflict or romantic intimacy or just about being a woman in society and what that kind of means for me. So SMF has been especially helpful for conflict and understanding conflict in my personal relationship, because I understand better how he approaches conflict, how I approach conflict, and what we both sort of bring to those conflicting dynamics that will inevitably happen in healthy romantic relationships. SMF has also made me super aware of the fact that I have this background knowledge and I have this worldview that I bring to this partnership, and so it's important for me to keep that in mind when engaging in conflict and engaging in conversation, because I don't want to be overanalyzing, because I don't want to ever make my partner feel like he's my client and I'm, his therapist or whatever. So making that connection and having that general understanding that I have this worldview, I have this background knowledge and understanding of people and behavior and conflict and communication, but not, implementing it in a way that seems clinical or I'm just trying to name behaviors that I'm seeing based on what I read in a textbook or something like that. So it's important to have the knowledge, but it's important to use it, in my opinion, in the right way that makes your relationships feel really natural and organic as well. So I think SMF has also taught me to really feel empowered to, explore sexuality and explore other aspects of intimate relationships, because those things are really important, and it just has given me a bit of a voice and confidence to explore those things and to teach me that, it's okay to explore those things if that's something that you want to do. So and finally, I think it's allowed me to reflect on what I think I deserve in a romantic relationship. A lot of our conversations in SMF are about, healthy conflict and healthy dynamics, healthy relationships. And so I see these pieces and I understand what this looks like in a textbook. And so it helps me to really gain a better understanding of what I think I deserve in my relationships. And like I said, I've been with my partner for 5 years. And so SMF has really just reaffirmed for me that I am with the right person and I am spending my time with someone who treats me in the way that I know I deserve to be treated. Now I want to chat a little bit about close relationships with friends and family. So I think ultimately what SMF has taught me about those dynamics is really just about the dynamic itself and my role in those relationships with my siblings or my parents. So what I found particularly interesting is how I understand my family structure and how I see myself in those structures and how I can influence those structures and things like that. So I think one of the most valuable lessons is one that we've learned about family systems theory. I think this is super important, and just this general idea that families are a huge system and each small component plays a large part in making the system what it is, and any change in that system or these smaller components creates a larger change in the larger system. So I think just having a basic understanding of how families function and different dynamics in families is something extremely valuable just to sort of have in your back pocket. I think this is really helpful information for anyone. In terms of my friendships, I think SMF has taught me how to be a good listener and how to show up for people. I think a lot of our conversations surround how to be a better advocate and a better ally for minority groups, and that's what I want to be for a friend. I want to be able to show up for people and ask those really important questions to make sure that their voices are heard and that they feel included in the spaces that I'm in. So ultimately, the thing I love the most about SMF in these dynamics is that it relates to everybody. Everyone's in relationship to someone or something in some way, shape, or form. And so, everybody can relate to these topics, and I think that is really valuable. I can apply what I learn in the classroom directly into my life in a really practical way, and that's personally what I love about it. And finally, I want to reflect on how SMF has impacted my life and generally what it has taught me about myself. So I think SMF has taught me about who I am and who I want to be. Our conversations about anti-oppressive practices and why we use inclusive language, how to make spaces really accessible for people. These are all things that I want to bring into my life and into my workspaces in the future, because these are super critical and important questions that we need to be asking, and I don't think enough people ask. So I want to be the person to say, hey, have we considered this person? Or have we thought about how this group of people is going to be able to interact with whatever we're doing? So really important, critical questions that need to be asked every day, and SMF has provided me with the tools to do so and to ask those questions. Of course, I will keep the catchphrase with me of being comfortable with being uncomfortable and settling into that feeling of discomfort when things seem challenging or when things seem hard. But this is the hard work that we need to do to make people feel included in the spaces that we're in, and I think that is ultimately the most important thing. And finally, I think SMF has just made me feel empowered to express myself and to share my opinions, particularly about things that I don't necessarily agree with. I think I have always had a voice, but SMF has taught me how to use my voice in various spaces. As you can see, I feel like I've learned a lot from this program. I feel like I'm doing like an advertisement for SMF or something like that, but this is genuine and sincere in the way that I have reflected on my experiences as an SMF student. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. I hope this channel provides you with an opportunity to get a better sense of what we do here at SMF, what's important to us, and how we foster this community for various people, because that's ultimately the most important thing to us. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.